Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Serving Up Success with a Splash. We're so happy to have you here. Really appreciate all of you followers. And today we're going to talk about building healthy habits. Beginning of the year, it's time to do it. So I'm your host, Angie Snowball, the Renaissance Woman. Here with my co-host.
And I'm Dr. Natesh, the strategy doctor.
And I'm Bruce Kramer, your favorite corporate cockerel.
Woohoo! All right. So we're all here today, and at the beginning of the year, or at the end of the year, we wrapped up how are we going to make resolutions, goals, one words, whatever you want to do. So we thought, why not follow up with creating the habits that are going to help us do that and not fail, not be part of the statistic that fails. Before we do anything, though, Bruce, what are we drinking?
Well, I'm happy to say, being a professional at this, I've never heard of the Jack Frost cocktail, but I actually did the mocktail version because that's one of my healthy habits I'm introducing.
Good.
I'm not quitting, but I'm doing things a little healthier. But nonetheless, cheers, everyone. Happy New Year again.
Happy New Year. All right. That is a good one too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the internet's a wonderful thing, right? It can help you find all kinds of things, and it creates things for you when it doesn't find something. I'd like a nice winter cocktail. All right, so Bruce, tell us a little bit more today. Get us started. What are we talking about?
Oh my gosh. So, based on our last two episodes, to end the year, we talked a little bit about New Year resolutions. And, one of the things that really is all about is just creating some healthy habits. Some people state things as goals. Some use the one word, things we talked about in our past episode, but it's really about creating healthy habits. And you do that because it's a sense of discipline and you're creating more consistency. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. But one of the things that I found about this, and I actually learned this through us working together on these episodes, to create a healthy habit, it all begins with clarity around who do you want to be?
Yeah.
In 2026, at the end of the year, who do you want to be? So it's that simple. And it's also about, doing that with a positive mindset. And by that, I mean, when you start thinking about this, remember your thoughts lead to feelings, your feelings lead to actions, and actions lead to results. So when you're talking about these habits, an example of being negative about that would be, well, I always fall off track. Well, that leads to frustration, a little bit of shaming of yourself, and then you start avoiding what it is you were trying to do. And then, of course, that leads to the fact that, well, it's just proof I can't be consistent.
Right. And I think a lot of us do that. Natasha, have you ever been that person who is negative about your habit? And it's like, well, I always do it this way. I can't change. Have you ever felt that way? Because I don't feel like you have. If I look at Dr. D, I'm thinking, I don't see that he would do that.
The way you always build me up and you say, you probably haven't done anything wrong in your entire life. I have.
I just like to hear it. It makes me feel better.
I've done that several times where I think, I know it. This is a great habit. I'm not going to change this habit. And then lo and behold, something happens and I think, wow, I could have come to this earlier if I'd had more of an open mind. So
yeah. And so think about just changing that first thought. You could be something like, well, I'm capable of resetting quickly. That will give you a feeling of calm and being somewhat capable because this is not about perfection. It's just about taking action in the right direction. And when you feel calm and stuff, well, now from an action standpoint, you'll be able to make those small tweaks or corrections, and that's going to build momentum. And again, when we talk about discipline, we're not talking punishment. We're talking again, this should be a feeling of how do I support myself getting better? It never is about, oh, damn, I'm not good enough. Why can't I ever get this right? etc. And remember, consistency is what leads to credibility. And again, these little habits are about discipline and consistency. But to get consistency, you have to clear identity. You have to know what it is I need to do next. You need an environment that helps you do the right things right easier than doing the wrong things. And then standards. Worst case scenario, no matter how I'm feeling or what's happening, at the very least, I'm going to do this. So
I like that you're simplifying it, because that's something a lot of high performers do, is we overthink this and it becomes overwhelming. And it's the reason we don't create habits. And like Bruce said, the habits are designed to support us in stressful times, to make us better, not to like punish us or discipline us. But I'm curious, after everything Bruce just said, Dr. D, what's something that, because we do overcomplicate it, we actually do something counterproductive when we're trying to create healthy habits. So let's start there. What's something you thought would help you, but it actually hurt your consistency? Does that make sense? Like maybe a habit you tried, but you overdid it?
It does, yeah. So absolutely. So the one example I can think of is going back quite a long way, actually, 15 years, where I was slightly, I don't want to use the word overwhelmed, but I was busy. I was 24/7. You know, like Bruce has, and you've talked about this as well in the past. I was slightly 24/7. And then I felt that I had to be regimented with everything. But it was wrong. What I needed was less regimentation. What I needed, and I learned it several years later. It took a decade for me to learn this. I was so busy that I felt that I needed regimentation in my exercise. But actually what I needed was something different. What I needed to do was say, okay, I want to go back to being the healthy, fit individual I was a couple of years ago. And rather than do that straight away, it took me 7 or 8 years to go back to that healthy, fit, physically fit, person, because I just kept getting it wrong.
I feel that. I think I failed at health for year after year after year, because I'd have that same damn resolution. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to do whatever. The fact of the matter is, I'm not a gym person. So putting that towards me, it hurt me. But when I'd say to myself, hey, I've got this really funny, like I do a Brazilian butt lift. You can laugh all you want, but the guy on it's hilarious. He has a cute accent and it makes me active. Like I am panting, breathing, sweating when I'm done. It's a half hour every day. That's better doing it once a week than me saying I'm going to go to the gym Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I never go. So I love what you're saying there is like, you might think you need this, but it goes back to what Bruce said. Let's be clear. Who do I want to be? And also, who am I? Like, don't change yourself for a habit. Changing your habit is a different thing, but you have to do it in line with who you are, or you're fighting against yourself, and it's never going to work. So, Bruce, now it's your turn. I really want you to tell me about a habit that you have consistently kept. Like, what is your favorite habits that you created that helps you during very stressful times? Because this is something, life, career, business, we all deal with stress and often too much stress. And I think having a healthy habit to support us during stress would be a wonderful place to start.
Well, for me, there's two things I do no matter what. And just the exercise alone calms me. And one of those is, as I pointed out earlier, every week I set up, do I have a 30, 60, 90-day plan or a vision for the next 2 years? Absolutely. But I break everything down on a weekly basis. What's the priorities for this coming week? Could things change? And I don't care how bad the prior week went. More than ever, it's important for me now to recalibrate the next week. And part of that leads to the reflection. So, and then I do this daily. So once I set my weekly, and I usually do this, to be honest, on a Sunday morning for maybe 20 to 30 minutes over a cup of coffee, I look at my week ahead, say, these are the 2 or 3 things I need to get accomplished. And then starting Monday morning, I'll reflect and say, after a good night's rest and a nice relaxing weekend, does this all still make sense? Then come Tuesday, my day could have gone to hell in a handbasket on Monday. But just the fact that when I start my day in the morning, I'll reflect and go, okay, that didn't go so well. Are there any changes? And I just stay in that rhythm and I keep that positive mindset. All that's important is if something went wrong, what's my next best step to course correct? So I'm always just looking to keep moving forward. Don't get caught up. One day went by that went to hell in a basket. One day ain't going to make that big a difference over 365.
So as we're talking about like creating something tangible that helps you do that, because that's one of those things, what you're saying is something that is everybody should do. And I think a lot of people know that we should do it, but how do we actually create the habit to make us do it? So for example, I was in the boat where like I'd hear that on every podcast ever, like do it. I'm like, okay, I got to do it. But I would wake up and I'd grab my coffee and I'd get my email and the day was gone before I really started doing it. So honestly, I didn't create this habit. I got a dog. And the dog, a puppy down here, we all love Ozzy, he needs to be walked. So that habit of walking my dog every morning without my phone is how I started to do what Bruce is telling us to do, which we should all do. So to me, it was like actual a tangible thing I had to do to make myself sit down and do that reflection point. Natesh, do you have like a routine or a system that helps you do that type of reflection? And
Yeah, absolutely. So I do two things, which always help me. If I've got something to do, I just tell myself, and I don't particularly want to do it, whether I hate it or not, I don't particularly want to get on with it. But what I tell myself is, I'm just going to do this for 3 minutes.
oh, that's good.
I have a goal that I'm just going to do for 3 minutes. And then I just carry it on and do it for 3 or 4 hours. And it works.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I do is I go for a walk virtually every morning. I go and do my 10,000 steps before I do anything, before I look at the phone, before I have breakfast, I don't know what it is, what it does to the brain. It is calming. It's energizing the wise part of your brain. It's limiting the nasty survival part of your brain. It's just doing great things. So I don't, those two things, I don't give up. I just do them all the time.
Wow, that's funny. It's similar to mine, like the walking without looking first. It gets you like centered. And you already brought up science, and no surprise, we're going to go to Dr. D here for the hard stuff. But he's already talked to us once, I believe it was imposter syndrome, about how our brain's natural response is to protect itself. We prioritize safety. And I think that's part of why we sometimes struggle with creating while we do bad habits and things happen. So talk to us, Dr. D, a little bit more about the science behind why we have bad habits, or how to mitigate that and change our mindset so that we can create good habits.
So I think you've hit the nail on the head already, actually, Angie. You know, we are engineered because of our distant past, where we had to survive, day-to-day survive, minute-to-minute survival was what we had to do. And we almost failed. Our species almost failed several times over. We were close. We were a few thousand people away from extinction several times over. And so we're prioritized. We are engineered to survive and not be successful. So what we do is, even though the world has changed and we don't need to do minute by minute, day by day survival, or many of us don't, particularly in the Western world, many of us don't need to do that survival thing. We still do it. So we don't train ourselves to be successful. We train ourselves to survive, even though we don't need to survive. We're going to have shelter and we're going to have food every day. But many of us don't do that. So what we try and do to overcome that is we try and use willpower and motivation. Now, some people can do that. but it is a very small part of the population.
It's not me.
Most of us, if we use pure willpower, well, I've got to tell you, I think Bruce is one of those people who can do willpower and motivation. I think he can. I think
I
he
do
can
too, because he puts his mind to something and all of a sudden we've got more to go through than I what's gonna it's done. Get it done with Bruce. That's a real thing.
But a system is far better. Like, for example, I know somebody who's not a million miles away from this podcast right now. What she did to do her walk in the morning was do something she loves. She bought a dog. She bought a dog so she goes for a walk in the morning. So a system is so much better for building these tiny little habits. My favorite habit, I've already talked to you, and then I'm going to ask you two some questions. My favorite is, if I've got something to do, I get up really early and I do 3 minutes. That's my only goal. And then I'm into it and I just carry on doing it until it's done. And then I'm finished at lunchtime and I say to my partner, hey, I can go for lunch after all. Let's go. I finished. So
I love it.
that's my sort of favorite thing. I want to ask you, Angie, about motivation. At what point in your life did you think this motivation thing isn't working? I need to try something else. Was there a switch or was it gradual?
So, I think it happened many times, that I felt like it wasn't working. Because if you guys know my past, and probably a lot of listeners do by now too, I've done a lot of different things, hence the name Renaissance Woman. And the reason I did that was because I never felt full. I never felt like I was really doing what I needed to do. So I think the real answer comes back to what Bruce was saying, was I never truly took the time to embrace my identity. Like, because it wasn't like a, hey, this is who I am, take it or don't. It was a, who am I? And I'd get to one point like, oh, that sounds good. I think I'm that person. Oh, maybe I'm that person. I really should have, 30 years ago, taken the time to really delve into that all the way and not just rest at the first answer and say, oh, that's who I am. Let's go for it. Because my motivation wanes anytime I'm doing something I don't feel is achieving my greater purpose of making a difference. So when I get into something tedious, I'm out. And if the job completely, so like doing what I do now, I'll hire somebody to do it for me. It's like, whoop, I'm bad at that. I don't like it. You do it. But if I get to a point where I'm like, I don't love what I do anymore, I need to change that, because no amount of habits, my habits don't stick. Things I usually do no longer stick because they're not serving my greater purpose.
It's great that you sort of, you have such great clarity about who you are. And I guess you've had it for a few years now. So it's fantastic.
It's pretty new. It's still 35 years too late, but never too late. I wish it was earlier, but and I think again, that's where Bruce started us off, was identity. Like, there's no point in creating habits to do something you ultimately don't want to do. Obviously, motivation will fail you.
I've got a question for Bruce now. And Bruce, look, you're a coach. You're a great coach. People come to you for advice, for guidance. They listen to what you have to tell them, and you have a great track record. They become successful. So my question to you is, forget about yourself and how you've guided yourself. How have you coached, guided other people to engage in creating great habits? How have you done that with other people?
Well, it's interesting because part of the benefit of coaching is it continues your learning on steroids. Because even though you've been exposed to all of these practices and such, still in the fury of a day or week or months, you can very quickly start developing bad habits again. So by coaching, it keeps them front and center. And I'll be honest, I've been even more successful since I'm coaching because everything is always top of mind. But how I tell people to do that, it is that clarity around where are you today? And let's agree on that. Let's not poo-poo that and say, oh, I'm good. No, let's spell it out. And that's the other thing I want to add to all of this. Put pen to paper on some of this.
Yeah.
And again, not to beat yourself up, but put pen to paper. Because when you take the time to do that, those things tend to stick and you can track. But anyways, I've digressed. But the first thing I do is where are you and where you want to go? And then when we talk about, once we know that, well, what are some actions we can take? And what I try to do is very similar. And I know Angie and Dr. D, you both do this extremely well. The goal isn't there to kick the shit out of yourself. If you say, I'm going to go to the gym 3 times a week and you go once, that isn't that, oh my God, this sucks. I can't do this. It's all about improvement. When you look at yourself, and this is why I do recommend personally and business, do track some KPIs personal, because it'll become quickly obvious to you that while I might not be hitting the goal, God, am I getting better? I'm getting better.
That's like,
and that's
I love
the
that
motivator.
one.
That's all we're trying to do.
Yeah.
And that's why even with these habits, and Angie, you said it, keep it simple and don't have 6 of them. Pick 1 or 2. And all you're looking for is, am I getting better?
Exactly. And high achievers, I love what he said, because I think that's one of the other problems with high achievers is we tend to beat ourselves up over something, and then it goes away because we beat ourselves up too much. So what if you said, I see a lot of people, there's a lot of resolutions. I already saw it on LinkedIn to read 1 business book a week. That's a lot. I know they're short, but for a lot of people, that's a lot. Change that to once a month, or change it to 5 minutes a day. If you overachieve, woohoo, good for you. But if you're a high achiever and you set your goals too high and you underachieve, you're very likely to throw it away altogether.
Or don't have the goal of the outcome of reading a book a month.
Exactly.
Just say, I want to be, at the end of the year, I want to be better versed in business practices and different viewpoints. That's all I have to. And then you're going to be that person because you've told yourself and you've written it down. You'll end up being that person, and you'll find multiple ways to be that person rather than saying, I'm going to read a book.
Very good. I like that too, because I see those habits. I'm like, I just don't know that that's viable for a lot of people. Or maybe one week it is and one week it's not. And we all know if you're creating a habit, once you get off the schedule, like we had 6-7 inches of snow here recently. And I was like, oh, Ozzy, I think you can just play outside in the yard today. You don't need to walk because it's 10 degrees. So lo and behold, the second day goes by and it's 3 degrees. Well, Ozzy, have a good time. So the third day comes, I'm like, oh God, I really got to walk the dog. And something that I didn't think about for years, I suddenly had to say, okay, you got to walk the dog. He loves it. Get back into it. And I think that's true of any habit. Once you get out of it, you stop doing it. So make it something realistic. And speaking of times, and I'm going to throw Dr. D under the bus here, Bruce as well. I don't know. Either one of them might know this. I don't know. There's something scientifically that people say about how long it takes to truly create a good habit. Because I talked about how easy it is to break one, right? I think there's something about you should consistently do it for 7 days or 90 days or something like that. What time frame would you suggest, or either one of you, what time frame have you found successful to help yourself build that new habit? Like Bruce's was journaling, or his morning reflection type of thing. How long did it take you before you did that without thinking about it? So,
well, Bruce's thinking I'll just come in. So 28 days. Okay. And 28 days is what I've always used. So when I wanted to change my diet to just a fish and vegetable diet, after 28 days, I couldn't look at meat.
Wow. Yeah. I know our daughter recently went vegetarian.
I couldn't have done it.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I know Dr. Nitesh, there's thought and research in that. I've always said, just give it a month, with no scientific. It was just like, try it for a month. But I wanted to piggyback on what Dr. D and you said, Angie, is I think back early on in my life when it came to exercise or fitness. I mean, I was so regimented. I was just like you. I'm going to be in the gym Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm going to do lats on Monday. I'm going to do swimming on, Tuesday. And what, to your point, when I look at who do I want to be, I just want to be physically fit. It's now as simple as, did I get 3 hours of exercise? And with things like the Apple Watch, that could come in the form of steps. It could come when you do have time to, pull up the barbells or whatever. All of that goes towards, did I move and get some form of exercise for 3 hours over a week time, a week's time. And that is so much more palatable because you may go 3 days and then you may take a long hike and go, geez, I hit it anyways. I just want to be physically fit, but I want something tangible. I want that system that I can look at and say, did I get the 3 hours in or not?
Yeah. Oh, that's really good. So we're getting close to the time because we don't like to bore you. I am going to wrap it up with one thing to take away so you boys can think about that while I give our audience a little homework this week. So, and it really piggybacks off of what Bruce just said. What we're going to ask you to do this week is to choose one habit, one healthy habit that you want to get into, but choose it based on who you want to be, not what you want to achieve. So again, not the days in the gym, but be healthy. So whatever habit you're going for, choose it on who you want to be, not what you want to achieve. And then this is a little bit off of Dr. D's concept of I'm going to start for 3 minutes and then you get into it for 3 hours. We're going to challenge you to do it for 7 days and hoping you get to that 28-day mark to on and on and on. But let's start with 7 days. Take that one habit of something that you want to be, not what you want to achieve. Do it for 7 days. Do a daily check-in, whether you put it on your phone, on your watch, write it down, whatever it may be. Do a daily check-in. Your dogs do not like this exercise, Bruce. Your dogs are pissed. They're like, we have good habits. Just shut the redhead up. We've had enough. Okay. And then another thing that came with exercise that can help is to reiterate. This is the type of person I want to be This is the thing I want to be. Reiterate that to yourself in the morning when you get started. Just to remind yourself that's why you're trying to build that habit. And then basically track it. Any which way you want to track it. Don't change it. Don't modify it. Don't optimize it. We're going for progress over perfection here. But choose that one thing. Keep track of it for 7 days. Drop us some comments. Drop us some notes. Let us know how it's going. Let us know what your habits are. And we want to be there for you too. We want to support you on your journey. So let's all pick one habit. Let's give it at least 7 days, and hopefully it's going to work like Dr. D's 3 minutes, and we're going to keep doing it forever and ever and ever. All right, that's your homework. And before we wrap up, Bruce, what is one thing you want to have our audience take away from today?
Whoa, there's a lot. I am so hung up on, as we went through this exercise starting like 4 weeks ago, I really like that just who do you want to be? And then select the supporting habits and not necessarily set as goals. So, and how that worked for me personally is I just said, I want to be more intentional in 2026. Well, to be more intentional in all aspects of my life. So no matter what I'm going to do, why am I doing it? I do it. And will it serve me? Will it give me what I need to get better? And I couldn't have done that as easily without just saying, I just want to be more, at the end of the year, I want people to say, boy, Bruce is very intentional. And, whether it be what kind of people I'm going to hang with, how much, if I have a drink, why am I doing this right now? Just being intentional, and understanding who you want to be really makes things easy. And you're not getting into rigid goal setting and all that other stuff.
I like it. That's a good one. Dr. D, top that.
I don't think I can top that, but I can give it my best shot. Something positive and something negative. So the negative thing is it's a negative, but it's not really negative, which is don't set hard and rigid goals which require motivation. And the positive thing is do things you love doing and do them every day. Just do things you love doing and do them every day.
I really like that because I think that is what helps us build good habits, because you have to love it. Don't try to make a good habit of something you hate. That's what I would say, because it's not serving who you want to be.
If you don't like writing, don't make your habit writing a page of writing, every day. Don't do it. Because if you don't like writing, if you don't like the word, a language, vocabulary, if you don't like, just don't do it. That's not something anybody can do.
Yeah, I agree. Put it off to find another way. Have somebody else do it, if that's not what you want to do. Because in addition to to failing at creating a good habit, you're going to start your day off with negative energy. And we all know where that goes. So I guess that would be mine, is just to keep it realistic of something that fits who you are and who you want to be, and keep it small. Don't try to bite off, more than you can chew. Keep it small, keep it realistic. You can always overachieve. Overachieving feels good. Underachieving sucks. So don't make it too hard. Make it easy, and make sure you keep track of it. Accountability is a huge, huge deal. Probably going to be one of our upcoming episodes is all about accountability as we continue to go through the year after our planning is done. Okay, well, as always, thank you very much for joining us. Please like, subscribe, follow, all that jazz, and good luck creating healthy habits. Cheers!
Thanks, Bruce.
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!